All right, we are back at it with another feature film breakdown, and this is a small snippet from a much longer Patreon video. If you want to see the entire thing, the entire breakdown of The Dig, you can go and click on that link in the description. It will take you over to the Patreon channel. If you become a supporter, you get access to the entire back catalog of all these feature film breakdowns, of which there are hundreds. And so you've got a lot in front of you if you're just joining now, because there's lots to catch up and hopefully make you a much better cinematographer. Today in The Dig, though, we're looking at how an arrangement inside a very specific location can mean that you are forced to light it a certain way, or the results are already guaranteed. There's nothing you can do about it. As soon as the action is set, as soon as the location is chosen, it doesn't matter what equipment you have, it doesn't matter what camera you have or what lenses you have, you are going to be, the theme or the style will be dictated, or the contrast levels will be dictated by the room and the blocking itself. And if you like that, it's a good thing, right? If you luck into a fantastic location that just so happens to match the mood and the style that you're going for in cinematography, you're going to think that you're a great cinematographer, when in fact, you just got lucky into the location that is going to force you to operate a certain way. But we don't want to just be lucky. We want to know well in advance that no matter what the scene, no matter what the location, no matter what the equipment we have access to, we can get the look that we desire, no matter what it is. So in order to do that, we need to study a huge number of examples and then be able to recreate small effects from each of them to determine whatever project we're looking on, what the final look is going to be. That makes us more valuable. If you're more valuable, guess what? You're going to get more jobs. If you get more jobs, guess what? You become more valuable. And this starts the snowball of you actually knowing what you're talking about, right? Not just watching YouTube videos, but actually knowing how to do these things. Because again, it's very simple to be able to look at the finished product and say, of course, like I would have shot that way. Of course, the person's going to be in silhouette and it's going to be on a wide lens. And that makes me feel this way. But when you're there on the day and it's a blank canvas and it's your responsibility to make these decisions, you can, be quite confident that fantastic cinematographers that you look up to have done all of this work in the past. Either they've done it on set themselves over the span of 50 years, or they've probably watched the channel and done all of that work in the span of 6 months. So you can do it the slow way, or you can do it the fast way. And if you do it the fast way, chances are you're going to be more employable sooner, unless you have the social skills of a monkey. So with that being said, that confidence booster going into the breakdown, let's have a look at this week's subject, which is The Dig. So we go to the next one, which I think is, that's her walking. Oh, again, like interesting choice to go straight to this. It's like, okay, this seems like a frameworky thing, right? We're in this dark little tunnel. She's walking down, even though, the framework would be shooting this person, this camera, which we'll call the A camera, would be over here, shooting along that way. So you're getting the shadow because this tree is acting like a big neg, so you're getting lots of light from that way. So you'd think you'd want to be over there. But here, looks like the B camera on the longer focal length is over there. And look at that framing. I mean, she's almost out of it. If you were on the headset talking to the operator and you were looking at the monitor, you'd be like, what movie is this guy shooting? Like, you gotta watch the monitor, or you gotta pay attention to the eyepiece. They're so far over there. But we get into some crazy, I don't know if I grabbed all of them, but some crazy extreme angles, like half of people's faces when they're talking, not even in the frame. So come down, walk, again, not much crazy lighting here, but harsh. Like, that is dark, really, really dark, harshness. There's a funk to it. And even in like the camera movement, you're on such a long lens, and then it's not like a classic easy rig float commercial. It's like this is like someone's locked in handheld, like kind of just hoping that the take gets over with real fast. And okay, so now we come into here. Okay, now this is probably the most frameworky looking thing that we're gonna look at, but watch how much it changes with a couple of different coverage elements, right? Like your Roger Deakins coverage is gonna be, you're gonna do this shot, probably not on such a wide lens, right? Because you're gonna keep it down like this so you can actually control the lighting a little bit more. But this one, we start wider, so there's nowhere we can be inside at the beginning, which means we're gonna have to deal with all of this, which means we're gonna have to bring in a lot of level, right? Just tons and tons of level to be able to hold out here, but we haven't held out here, right? The windows just go. They just blow out. We're not caring about that now. But I mean, it's an interesting location because you got arch, we're shooting into the L of the room. We've got darkness over here. There's not a lot of darkness there. It's quite flat on there. And we're not really shooting, like because it's such a wide lens, we're not really shooting through anything. It's just like, here it is. Like this is the scene. Which sometimes, you know, in the past that we've looked at things, sometimes adding little elements in the foreground just help create that three-dimensional look and that depth, whereas when you're on such a wide lens, and I don't know what lenses they shot this on, but some of them, sometimes it looks like they are in need of a serious service. Like if they look anamorphic-y on the edges because of the softness that is happening, and the, you know, it's not like the warpy distortion-y look, but it's just softness. So I don't know what, I want to know what they shot this on. If anybody knows, tell me the camera and the lenses. Please, I couldn't figure it out in my Googling. But this is, you know, this is okay. We're lighting from the window that we can't see because we can see out there, but the light is coming this way, which is played perfectly. You get a nice shadow, right? All of this looks really nice. And even, okay, so this lady's a little bit lifted, but you could bring her down if you wanted, you know, if that was your bag. But hard on yourself because it's so wide. There, now, okay, now that's a big jump, right? In darkness, right? You see how much she's lifted there? Then we jump in, dark. But then also the angle. She's parked way over to the left and in complete profile. Right? Does she ever come around? No, we actually get closer to her. And this is a wide lens. This is a really wide lens. In fact, it's probably so dark because the camera person is acting as neg. That's how close physically we are to this actress. Like, oh, we are. I mean, she almost hit the front element there. And even at the end, parked way over there. Right? Like awkwardly close. And nothing flattering about any of these angles. Like it's just a harsh, it's completely by design to make you feel this way. This is the hardest angle in this setup, right? In this little trifecta here. The hardest angle in the room, if we're looking at singles, hers, we're going to be looking that way, that's easy. His looking this way, that's easy. Hers is going to be the most difficult because we're shooting into this bit of the room where there's no highlights, or it's going to be very flat. It's going to be hard to take this light here that is the key here. Well, we're just going to push it. We're going to make it seem like it's coming more from that window when we come around for the single, but we don't really, you know, we keep the light where it was and he ends up blocking her, which again, especially on this lady, I can't remember her name, the actress, but it's just very flat, very loggy. And you can see, even though we have like a little line back there, we're just looking plonk at the wall, which is difficult. Even though we have all of these things, which is nice, right? We got those little foreground elements and we're shooting through. It's a very wide eye line here out of the frame. And it's a hard, I mean, and then he opens up and like lets all the fronty light in again. It's a tricky proposition, this room and this whole scene, really. All right, hopefully you saw what I mentioned there in the introduction, which is really once those pieces are in place, doesn't matter what the tools that you have access to, there's no manipulating it to get a certain look, right? You can maybe make choices in focal lengths to sort of draw people in or eliminate some things and make lighting a little bit easier on yourself as you get closer, because the wider you get, the less effect you have on the overall images because it becomes harder and harder to affect the image. Doesn't matter what the size of the space is. The wider that you go, the further away the elements have to be that will help you control those things, and you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And as we always say here, as I constantly repeat in the back of my mind, complex things are difficult. Simple things are easier. That doesn't mean that you're going to get them every time, but if we can take something complex and boil it down to something very simple, at least then we can be held accountable, even for ourselves afterwards, to say, did we really do everything that we could to get the maximum out of these images, or was there something that we had to leave on the table because of X, Y, and Z? And really, it's not just about analyzing images from the past, but we're using it to project out into the future of what's going to be necessary to elevate our game to an entire new level. Okay, if you like this breakdown, if you like the concepts that we talked about, and you want even more, you can head over to the Wandering DP Patreon group and you can become a supporter, and you'll get access to not only this video, but hundreds of videos in the back catalog, and you get every single week you get a new feature film breakdown, which will go into all of these things and hopefully will make you a much better cinematographer. Okay, that is going to do it for this week. Many thanks, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.